Welcome back. Well, 98.5% of Kansas is in drought right now, and 58% of the state is covered in the two most severe categories. With a focus on water, Kansas State University Extension is working to protect a resource that is so precious to Kansas farmers and ranchers. In a year like 2022, water was a scarce resource for many farmers here in Kansas. A reminder on just how precious and vital that resource truly is.
We're dependent on the Ogallala High Plains Aquifer. If we did nothing else in the next 50 years, that water resource would be 70% depleted. And 40% of the wells that we're able to pump today and sustain agriculture, we'd no longer be able to do so.
In an effort to protect that water supply, the Kansas Center for Agricultural Resources and the Environment, or KCARES, knew more work needed to be done. And so 15 years ago, the Watershed Restoration and Protection Strategies, or WARPS, was then started and funded by EPA.
K-State recognized that there was a need to merge the extension approach with the watershed approach in those programs, and we created positions known as Extension Watershed Specialists. And those individuals work directly with landowners to help identify solutions to nutrient runoff or other practices that might be impacting their local water resources.
Those extension specialists have boots on the ground working with stakeholders across the state.
That might be cattle producers or row crop producers or even municipalities, and they identify whatever issues might be impacting their water resources and then come to collaborative solutions to address those concerns.
This year, the concerns were driven by drought.
People are very interested in alternate water sources because they are having problems with creeks drying up or their ponds, the ponds fill up with sediment, and then there's no water in them.
Will Boyer is one of 4 full-time extension watershed specialists.
Watering systems are so important because the livestock in Kansas very often have direct access to a stream. And when they do, you know what happens. You know, the tail goes up and pollution comes out. And if they're down in the stream when that happens, then 100% of that waste has an impact downstream.
Boyer says by introducing an alternate water supply and tank, it limits the waste that will travel downstream and impact people. But he also says it's a big benefit for producers.
We sometimes hear stories about animals falling through ponds, sliding down creek banks, a baby calf being bumped down the creek bank and dying. So there's some positive returns to the livestock producer as well.
From adding fencing to other adjustments to the water source and the land, Boyer says systems like this differ as he tries to cater the system to a particular need. But most of the water systems can be powered by solar.
The panels are half the cost of what they were several years ago, but they're less than or about 100 watts, or $1 per watt. So the two on the right are 100-watt panels, and you can get those for about $80 a piece.
It's work that Boyer and other extension specialists are doing that are already making a big splash.
Kansas is actually usually in the top 5 in the nation of using this watershed-based approach and seeing direct improvements in reductions of nitrogen, sediment, and bacteria, things like that. So we're really proud of the fact that this approach is working. That does it for U.S. Farm Report this weekend, and we hope farmers and ranchers just continue to get rain to replenish the soil moisture here. Drought has really been devastating. Well, thank you so much for watching our road show this weekend. We're wrapping up our college road show with Bex next weekend from the University of Missouri, and believe me, it is one that you won't want to miss. We'll see you next weekend as we work to build on our tradition. Have a great weekend, everyone.